In our headlines tonight, Governor Biano reassures on high tempo of development across the state. Today is International Anti-Corruption Day. Federal government procures 30 aircraft to fight Boko Haram. On the foreign scene, Catholic Church beatifies 19 Christians in Algeria. Good evening, glad to have you join us on our news for tonight. My name is Maureen Stone Enujeke. Governor Willie Biano has reassured that his administration will sustain comprehensive development of all sectors of the state economy. Governor Biano was speaking at Ihiala while receiving a special award from the Catholic Church for promoting social harmony. Chibuzo Obidike filed the reports.
Governor Obiano said the state government would continue to distribute infrastructural development across the state to give everybody a sense of belonging. He disclosed that the contractor handling road projects in Ihiala has been fully empowered to accelerate piece of work on the projects. The governor urged the people to continue to give APGA total support in coming elections to sustain good governance. In their separate reactions, the Secretary to the State Government, Professor Soluchukwu Rubelu, and the State Head of Service, Barrister Harry Odo, noted that Governor Obiano has sustained efforts towards promoting ecumenism and described the award as well-deserved. They noted that the honor cut across denominational divide and a testimony of prevailing peace and good governance in the state.
The governor has, since he became governor, has tried to ensure that there is that harmony between the Anglicans and the Catholics. So the award is very well deserved.
What is happening is a very significant thing. The recognition of His Excellency's all-inclusiveness in governance. Okay? The way he carries people along has been recognized, among many other things. Of course, you know, he has had a lot of awards.
From Ihiala, Chibuzo Obidike, ABS News.
The international community is observing today as Anti-Corruption Day. It was proclaimed by the United Nations General Assembly on 31st October 2003, following threats posed by corruption to the stability and security of lives and property in the society. Correspondent Ekwiyajide, who sampled people's opinions on the significance of the day, reports that the respondents were of the view that the federal government needs to be sincere in its fight against corruption. According to a one-time chairman of Ekusigo local government area, Sejude Mbebu, corruption is growing by the day as the fight is marred by nepotism, tribalism, and brotherhood, and wondered how a country whose primary source of income had remained in the hands of few individuals will be devoid of corruption. Sejude said for Nigeria to be on the right path against corruption, there must be discipline, which begins from individual families. On his part, an insurance expert, Chief Emeka Okeke, the federal government is not sincere in its fight against corruption, since according to him, it looks as if it is a vendetta against opponents. Chief Okeke called for reduction of remuneration of politicians, increase in the salary of civil servants, ensuring that funds allocated to projects are used for the projects, and following the budget judiciously as some remedies for an anti-corrupt society. Civil servants in the states have been adjudged the most productive throughout the country. The Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Mr. Sidon Adinoba, stated this in his office at the Jerome Odoji Secretariat, Oka, while reacting to the ongoing distribution of rice and payment of 2018 leave allowance to civil servants in the state. Correspondent Gozo Bileri reports.
Said the gesture, which has been a yearly practice by Governor Willie Obiano, was a clear indication that the governor has respect for dignity of man. He said that Anambra is the only state in Nigeria that pays salaries on the 25th of every month and pays adequately for enhanced productivity.
When you do not pay somebody adequately and you do not pay early enough to the person with the dignity he or she is deserving of, then you're not doing the right thing.
The commissioner expressed pride that the rice is produced and bagged in Anambra largely because of the governor's cordial relationship with all. noting that the state is also excelling in every field. He explained that the state is now producing 340 metric tons of rice annually, as against 80 metric tons produced 5 years ago and beyond. Mr. Adinoba also said that Anambra is the only state that is still employing workers, as he said that 270 physically challenged persons will be employed into various ministries, while arrangements are on to employ 1,000 teachers for primary and post-primary schools across the state. He charged the state workforce to reciprocate the gesture by putting in their best.
There is something scholars call the search for recognition. It means understanding and treating human beings with great respect.
From the Jerome Udodi Secretariat in Oka, I am Ngozi Obileri for ABS News.
Are you among those who devote their time discussing politics on the social media but shun the polling centers on election day? Do you know that voting during election is a civic responsibility? Equiajida reports that the National Orientation Agency, NOA, in conjunction with a social development organization, South Saharan, took to the streets of Oka to sanitize or sensitize the citizenry on the need to participate actively in the coming elections. Her reports.
The work, which started from the road leading to Ikweme Square, Oka, to NOA's office in Oka, was also co-sponsored by the Department for International Development, DFID, and Open Society Initiative for West Africa, OSIWA. The group moved round Oka Metropolis, brandishing materials with inscriptions such as, "Be awakened. Politicians no be Father Christmas. Anything he dash you, he go collect them back. Now be say no water, no education, no health care, or even employment for you, among others." They accompanied their messages with some dance steps and drama sketches. Speaking with the ABS after the roadshow, the state director NOA, Barrister Charles Nkwoji, said the show was informed by the need to educate the people on the necessity of voting since political activities are gearing up, and there have been reports of voter apathy in the state during previous elections. According to him, the essence is to encourage people to turn out en masse to vote, increase participation in the electoral process, and to drastically reduce vote buying and selling, as well as advise people to become involved, as voting is a civic responsibility.
So the purpose of the exercise is to get them to turn out en masse and see how we can reduce the level of voter apathy within the state.
The programming officer for South Saharan, Ms. Onyeka Akunna, said the group is aiming at behavioral change through sustained voter education.
Actually, we're looking for a behavioral change so that people will now think right, sit down, and know that even if I collect money from this politician, I'm not bound to vote for him. I have to sit and ask myself who is the right person to be there, then vote for the right person. So that's.
It will be recalled that the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has already fixed the presidential and National Assembly elections for February 16, 2019, while the governorship and state assembly elections hold on 2nd March 2019. In Oka, Ekwi Ajide, ABS News.
It was a celebration of achievements, dedication, and industrial spirit as Nigerians from all walks of life converged on Oka to appreciate and encourage the contributions of the immediate past Vice-Chancellor of the Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu University, Professor Fidelis Okafor. The event, which was organized by the Literati Philosophia in conjunction with Eastern Nigeria Writers Forum, was part of activities lined up to mark the 5th in the series of Professor Fidelis Okafor's annual lecture. Correspondent Emmanuel Chibata reports.
Addressing the gathering, the convener, Professor Okafor, maintained that the lecture series was designed to provide a platform for men and women who are committed to research.
I know that ASCO is on strike, so this is an academic exercise.
Speaking on the theme of the conference, Humanities and Sciences in the Search for New Perspectives in Confronting Emerging Global Issues, a keynote speaker and traditional ruler of Obosi in Idemili North local government area, Igwe Chidubemiweka, pointed out some emerging global issues to include climate change, poverty and hunger, religious crises, genocide and mass killings, among others, urging governments to work towards ending such devastating and ravaging issues that is retarding the growth and development of the society.
Both of them have a common cause. Global warming is caused by putting too much carbon dioxide into the atmosphere by burning coal, oil, and natural gas to generate electricity or run our vehicles. So we are all culprits. Ozone depletion occurs when chlorofluorocarbon CFCs and halons, gases formerly found in aerosol spray cans, fire extinguishers, and refrigerators are released into the atmosphere.
In a lead presentation, the Managing Director and Chief Executive Officer of Anambra Broadcasting Service, Mr. Ushenwora, represented by Mr. Tobenna Obiano, said that the unemployment rate, especially in Nigeria, is a major threat to development.
Things are right. And again, it has to begin with the younger generation. You have to catch them young. I have said, Japan has natural disasters. China has natural disasters. I live in the Caribbean, not the usual. Every week or every month, there is what I could call the shortening of the earth. That is the dancing of the earth, Anambra earthquake. We see earthquake every day. In Nigeria, we cause our own natural disasters. One of them, all bad job. Nobody, I never for them. One of them, bad job. I am telling you this because I know.
Development. Others who spoke at the event, including Professor Ifeyinwa Obazi of the Department of English Language, Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, represented by Dr. Christopher Carlo, the chairman on the occasion, Mr. George Oji, and the State Sector Commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps, Mr. Sunday Ajayi, called for all hands to be on deck in combating global issues. The event featured presentation of awards to Professor Okafor as Distinguished Man of the Year and recipients of Nelson Mandela Leadership Award on Education Development and Paraphernalia by the leadership of ECOWAS Youth Council. In Awka, I am Emmanuel Shibata reporting for ABS News.
The federal government has acquired 30 aircraft to intensify the anti-terror war. It is also expecting 12 brand new aircraft, especially 6 helicopter gunshots to prosecute the battle. The Chief of Air Staff, Sadiq Abubakar, disclosed this in Kano. Air Marshal Abubakar, who relocated to the northwest and northeast in deference to President Buhari's directives, spoke during the commissioning of a multi-billion naira medulla theater at the 465 Nigeria Air Force hospitals, Kano. According to him, in the last 3.5 years, the federal government has procured and released 18 brand new aircrafts to the Nigerian Air Force. The Roman Catholic Church in Algeria has beatified 19 Christians killed in a civil war in the 1990s, including 7 Trappist monks who were beheaded at their monastery by Islamist militants. The beatification in the port city of Oran is the first of its kind in a Muslim nation. Algerian officials, delegates of Pope Francis, and friends of the victims were among 1,200 people at the ceremony. The war started after the military-backed government cancelled legislative elections in 1992. A radical Islamist party was poised to win. 200,000 people died in the conflict and the economy stalled. Pope Francis said in a message he hoped the beatification would heal the wounds of the past and create a new dynamic of meeting and living together. Christians are a tiny minority in the Sunni Muslim nation. The remains of late Mrs. Francisca Nedum have been laid to rest at her hometown Urofolo village, Akampisinri, in an Ocha local government area of Anambra State. Late Christiana, aged 89, was the mother of a former managing director of ABS, Lady Chinwe Nedum. Correspondent Success Odemena reports that the funeral ceremony was attended by friends and well-wishers and in-laws, among other dignitaries. We have the details.
In a requiem mass, the Catholic Bishop of Awka Diocese, Most Reverend Paulinus Ezeukafor, enjoined Christians to be steadfast in the service of God while alive in order to inherit God's kingdom after death. He added that death is inevitable and called on the faithful to prepare their ways on earth for eternity, as everyone will give account of their stewardship in heaven. In an interview, the daughter of the deceased and former MD, Anambra Broadcasting Service, ABS, Lady Chinwe Nedum, said that her mother was a peacemaker and lived a life worthy of emulation. In their separate speeches, the son of the deceased, Pastor Emmanuel Nedum, and her daughter-in-law, Mrs. Obiamaka Nedum, described late Mrs. Francisca Nedum as a gentle and God-fearing woman who never discriminated but accommodated all. The MD and the CEO of ABS, Nze Uche Nwora, the Director of News and Current Affairs, Mr. Gabe Obaleze, and other staff were part of the sympathizers that witnessed the funeral ceremony and paid their last respect.
May Madam Christiana's soul rest in peace. Amen. Remember that you can follow news and programs on ABS from any part of the world by logging onto our website, www.absradiotv.com. Like us at www.facebook.com/ABS Radio Television, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ABS Radio TV. Just before we go, a recap of the main points. Governor Biano has reassured on high tempo of development across the state. Today is International Anti-Corruption Day. Federal government has procured 30 aircraft to fight Boko Haram. And on the foreign scene, Catholic Church has beatified 19 Christians in Algeria. That does it on the news tonight. Thanks for watching. My name is Maureen Stone Enujoke. Kachifo.